So, I just had a fantastic haircut. Another one with my good friend here, Rennie, the owner of Caribbean Cuts. We also had a great conversation about the business of politics. Why don't we go in and take a look? How has the corona? Good evening, and welcome to the Business of Politics. I'm Brad Nugent, and I will be your host tonight. Joining me from TSG Studios in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, are political correspondents Tisha Leonard and special guest Hugo Hodge. I'm pleased to have you both. We've got an incredible show tonight. We are taking our discussion to the streets in search of what is on the minds of local Virgin Islanders as we all navigate the new normal in a global pandemic. It's no surprise that small business owners are among those that have been most affected by the government-mandated closures this year due to COVID-19. So, this week we visited a local barbershop and a beauty salon, the original town hall meeting place, where everyone is welcome and the conversations is always exciting. A place where the playing field is equal regardless of where you grew up or what job you have. In fact, for as long as many of us can remember, these socially sacred spaces have been used as a stage for debate and voicing concerns about current events, where everyone has an opportunity to listen and weigh in on what's happening in their community. So, in order to be a part of a real talk around real issues, we visited Caribbean Cuts Barbershop on St. Croix and Profection Hair Salon on St. Thomas. And what we heard just may surprise you. So stay tuned for a full hour of raw, honest, gritty stories and bravery and perseverance in the wake of COVID-19 and how small business owners are coping in the wake of adversity. These days, it seems like all news is breaking news, and it's no different here in the Virgin Islands. This week was filled with hot news headlines like Governor Bryan announcing new restrictions, primarily to the food and beverage industry, and warned of possible curfews to stave off the rapidly rising numbers of positive COVID-19 cases as we enter the holiday season. And the no vote that the lame duck 33rd legislature gave to the governor's securitization plan in a stunning vote of 5 yeas and 10 nays. We hit the streets and spoke to everyday Virgin Islanders impacted by these headlines, and here's what they had to say.
All right, Christopher. So, tell me, how do you feel about the vaccine? When it's coming out soon, we're supposed to get our first supply soon. Do you plan on taking it when it gets here?
I honestly will take the vaccine, and the reason is for that because when you travel, when you go to different places, you're required to have these different shots. You're required to have your immunization card updated. So with this vaccine, especially with everything that's happened, I am planning to take it, not right away, but eventually over time as COVID and as more people are taking it. And to answer your question, yes, I will.
Tell me, what do you think about what the governor and the legislature is doing with GRS?
I think they need to do a lot more for the people. GR system has always been an issue for numerous years. I think they've not used the money properly or not invested the money properly, so we've seen the effect of that. So it's a time where if they continue to borrow, we're going to continue to suffer. So we have to definitely find ways or make ways to at least start something so that people feel hopeful that they're putting money into a system that hopefully when they retire, they could be able to have the basic needs in life. So I mean, it's just a sad situation what's happening now. And to top it all off, we're dealing with a situation like COVID and, people, going through all these things here as well. So, it's a hard situation.
Can you tell me what the COVID vaccine is about to come out? There's a lot of speculation about it. Do you plan on taking it when it's ready?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm 65. I don't have any underlying conditions, but I think as soon as it kind of becomes my turn, I plan to get it.
Awesome. Next question is, the government, what do you think about how the governor and the legislature, how they're dealing with GRS?
Well, I mean, they're not dealing with GERS. The legislature over the past decades has legislated that GERS should give away more money and give away more money, but they've just to be popular, but they've never come up to bat when it says we got to pay them more money because that would be unpopular.
Okay, and last question is, schools are talking about bringing kids back, public schools in person, not just online. What do you think about that plan starting in January?
Well, right now it's the implementation. They're talking about having cleaning, you know, having hand cleaning and stations for that, partial weeks for the smaller kids. And I've been in some of the schools and they're having a difficult time getting ready to do that. If they can get ready, I mean, we've got too many kids falling behind, and especially in the younger grades, and that's going to impact them essentially forever. So I'd like to see more activity with them in the schools if they can be prepared for the kids to go to school.
Awesome.
Well, that was interesting, what the people are talking about. I want to thank James for taking some time to do those interviews and talk to everyday people and hear their opinion. And they had some strong opinions, Tisha. Folks are concerned about the vaccine. First, we were concerned about the pandemic and how it can kill us. Now you have some people that's thinking, I don't want to take the vaccine because it might kill me too. I mean, what do you say about that? What do you do?
I don't know. And I know for me personally, maybe it's just fair. I mean,
Okay.
how
Clearly.
much more scared can you be other than being scared of dying from this virus? And now there's something that can possibly help you, but you're still scared.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe we just need a shift in paradigm as far as it relates to the vaccine. So I'm kind of a wait and see person as well. As it relates to the children going back to school, morning,
Okay.
send them back.
Okay.
I have a kindergartner, and it's not so much that, you know, many people say the parents are now seeing how bad their children are. That's not the case, but I see him falling behind in his development because so much of their development is that face-to-face interaction with the teacher. They're, you know, simple things like learning how to hold a pencil. The teacher is saying, make sure they hold the pencil correctly. I don't know how he's supposed to hold
Right,
a pencil.
right.
So things like that, I feel that they're falling behind in their development. So I'm grateful for the 2 days
Okay.
a week. As it relates to GERS, let us see what the 34th legislature is going to
Okay.
do.
Okay.
You know, and I'm hoping that this comes up again in the 34th legislature.
I'm
hoping
sure
that-
it will.
I'm pretty sure it will, and we'll see, because of what happened with Puerto Rico, how the 34th legislature is going to proceed.
Hugo, what happened in Puerto Rico? What is she talking about?
So,
I'm at a loss.
In Puerto Rico,
Yes.
they took advantage of the market conditions that we were told about here by the administration that were opportune for financing. We didn't get ours, it was not successful, voted on by legislature,
Okay.
10-5.
Yeah.
Hence, Puerto Rico, who is in bankruptcy,
Right.
were able to get 1.4 billion
Okay.
through the same refinancing. They were able to get 4.1% interest, which is amazing given their financial
financials,
condition.
correct.
But I keep saying, people don't understand the value of triple tax exempt paper. So in the Virgin Islands and in Puerto Rico, when they go to the market, the bonds are triple tax exempt. They're municipal, state, federal tax exempt. And investors want triple tax
They love
exempt
that.
paper. They love it. It's something that you can't get throughout the nation. Only certain areas you can get it, certain jurisdictions, here being two of them. So when we go to the market, no matter what's going on, there's interest. So when you find times like now, you gotta move. You gotta move when it's opportune. We didn't. Our neighbors did. They are singing their praises. We are having some groups sing praises about killing another one of the administration's efforts. You know, so that bothers me some.
And I believe their bonds were unsecured bonds.
Correct.
And ours were. I don't know. Well, first of all, with the schools, the kids going back to schools, I have a 12-year-old. He doesn't live here. but I would prefer for him to be in school as well. I think the socialization, the interacting with other students help develop you as a human being.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Right? And I have some friends, I won't say their names, like Tara, who says, and if you guys know Tara, you know she has a variety of opinions. 99% of them I agree with. She said something that was interesting though, that, and you brought it up too, that now parents are seeing how bad their kids are. For some, that might be the case. I think what they're also seeing is how important teachers are in the lives of their students.
Amen.
Give teachers a
Their
raise.
money, give
please.
them their
They've earned it, and now you're a
well-deserved
witness to it.
money.
Right? I'm not saying that your child is bad. It might be the neighbor, but still, I think they've earned it. I know we are pressed for time, but I just want to take some extra time, Hugo, and ask you about what you just spoke about. What is it? We fearing the disease? We fearing the cure?
I think it's trust. I think there's some trust mixed in with the fear.
Yeah.
I mean, and some of the people that are old in the community, my father and those that age group that can remember things like the Tuskegee experiment and
Yes.
and whatnot, they have a reason to have that kind of fear. But I think we're to the point right now where, look, we do a lot of things that are damaging to us.
Isn't that
Right? A lot of things in our lifestyle aren't in the best for our health. I think we're going to see the 975 we have come to territory go fast.
Okay.
And I think you're going to start to see people warm up to it. People are worried about being in the first tranche, but
Yeah.
it's not the first tranche. You had a lot of experimental phase and whatnot. And I think you're going to see people warm up to it for the wrong reasons. Okay, when they start hearing that herd immunity is what we need to start having things like carnival and full school,
Yeah.
people are going to say,
Okay.
let me think about taking this vaccination.
okay.
You know what I mean? So I think for the wrong reasons, you're going to start to see people warm up to it a little faster.
Okay, so people would take it in order to go to Juve.
That's right.
Okay. Hugo had said that. Well, on that note, I find it very interesting to hear what's on the minds of people. I think we're going to continue with this segment because I think it brings a certain realness to the policy stuff we may talk about. But these are just words, but people have to live it. And so I want everyone to still stay tuned. And on the next side, we'll get into a little bit more details and some other issues I know you would like on the business of politics.
Together, we are making progress against COVID-19 and getting our active lives and economy going again. As businesses unlock their doors and restock their shelves, you remain safer at home. But if you must go out, use the government's guidelines to stay safe. Wear your face covering when entering a business. No face covering, no service. Use hand sanitizer before entering and when leaving a business. And stay at least 6 feet apart. Practice social distancing. Safer at Home USVI is step 3 in our path to a new normal. We're depending on you to do your part. For more information, visit www.vi.gov.
This next segment is a story of real bravery and a leap of faith during a new normal that is anything but. I spent some time this week with our friend Barbara Peterson, and we visited Profection Beauty Salon on St. Thomas. We met up with owner Deidre Hendrickson and had a chance to hear her amazing story of opening a new business when most businesses in her neighborhood were closing. Deidre, hi.
Hi,
Thank you so much for allowing us to come in and talk to you and your clients today. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am good. I am good. So you are a newly opened small business here in the islands.
Correct.
In the middle of a pandemic, no less.
Well, I didn't know the pandemic was going to happen.
Unfortunately, you know, there's so many businesses closing. That is an extremely courageous thing for you to do. What was your motivation? What was your thinking? Tell us about what your thought process was that you had to take this jump and open your business during this time.
Well, initially, I always was planning to open on the date before the pandemic. And then the pandemic came and it did slow me down because, of course, the place got shut down. A lot of contractors didn't want to work. And, of course, I wouldn't want anybody coming into my place working and then giving me, like, you know, opening me septic to any disease or anything. But then sometimes, I guess, you initially already had a plan. So it's either you decide to do your plan or you do your plan. And sometimes you can't let when something bad happens stop you from going. You have to just pray to God and be like, hopefully everything will work. But still during the pandemic, not to be like that, but a lot of my clients still wanted their hair done. And it was ready in the making. So I mean, it's not exactly how I wanted it to be due to the pandemic slowing down, like, manufacturers, because I had a hard time getting even my stuff because a lot of the factories were closed in the States because remember, they were already going through the pandemic before we did. So it was a challenging thing, but it's not as bad as it may seem because I do have a lot of support. So I think that's what it is. I still have a lot of community support from my clients, even though they themselves probably are going through financial issues, not having a job and different things. So this is like, it's like, to me, if you make it through the pandemic, then you're going to be fine. I guess that's the best thing to say.
How was it in terms of getting the support of the business, well, I should say the government?
That to me was a bit more trying because a lot of the government agencies are working from home, which may make it a lot harder for people who are supposed to do their job to get their job done as efficient. Or maybe they're not as accustomed to doing online stuff. So that was like a little niche for me. Because it took me a very long time. I mean, I got my hair license, which it always renews in April. Our hair license renews in April. But to get the business license, even though I had the space, it took me like 3 months to actually get the business license. And majority of the stuff was already signed because you have to go Lieutenant Governor's office, you have to go to fire. So it just depends on which office was moving more swiftly than another office. Which I feel like license and consumer, they're more a face-to-face thing than an online thing because they had to switch over so quickly. So probably it was a glitch for them, I guess. Okay. To say it like that. Okay. To be nice.
I think she's trying to be politically correct.
She's trying to be politically correct. So now that we're in the middle of this pandemic, there are a lot of mandates that have been passed down by the governor through his guidance received from the CDC and the Department of Health. In talking to other business owners, there seems to be a concern about the way that these mandates are being enforced, that it's not necessarily equal across the board. Have you heard those same concerns from other business owners? Do you feel that they're being enforced?
I have like adequate space to do some of the spacing, so I could understand because the salon I worked in prior to this was a lot smaller than this one, and we were more close. But because the type of salon I wanted to do a space where everybody who does rent a space, they feel like they have adequate enough space to speak to their clients and feel like a small business within a small business. Because when I used to live in the States, this shop that I work in, she promoted yourself as a business. Because being self-employed, people that have it as if you work for a salon, but technically it's like you're the business. You're the person who has the clients. You pay your own boot rent. It's not a shop. but your station is like a rental station that you pay. You buy your own products. So technically you are a small business within a small business, if that makes sense to you.
It does.
It does.
Speaking of barber shops and salons, one of the reasons that we're here is that everything that happens in the community ends up in a barbershop and a salon. So what are your clients like saying about the pandemic, and what are their frustrations on what's going on in this community? What are you hearing that's most...
I feel like a lot of people are worried about tomorrow, because one minute the pandemic seems to be under some control, not to me, but you know, sometimes you feel like, okay, maybe we'll get back to normal. And then now we're hearing that you never know, we might get shut down any day, tomorrow, today. Some people feel like due to the change of government, like in the States, it's gonna happen as the new year comes. Children are going into school. They have a hard time taking care of their kids or being able to go to work because somebody has to watch your kids. And then kids can go back to school, but if they do have a shutdown, then they're not gonna go back to school, then you cannot work. And it's not only being able to come to the hairdresser, you have to be able to pay your bills. A lot of people had problems with getting their labor checks and stuff on time, because yes, you're gonna get the money, but if you get the money 3 or 4 months after, your rent is due every month, your light bill is due every month, all our bills are due every month. So certain things you might be able not to have, like maybe internet, but you still need internet because your kids have to go to school. So it's like you're in a rock and a hard place. So I think a lot of people are just concerned, and it's hard about tomorrow. What are we gonna do tomorrow? If we're gonna have money to take care of our kids, if we're gonna have money to pay our bills, if I'm gonna have a job. Because I have a lot of clients that work in the tourism. They were hoping for the cruise ships to come back next year. And right now, I guess all of us know that is not gonna happen. And then a lot of little things. If carnival is gonna happen, because we have to remember we had a lot of carnival troops that already had costumes, who owe people costumes, and now if they don't have a carnival this year, what's gonna happen? Or we have to give back the money, what you gonna do? Because a lot of people, it's like what you say, you already had your plans before the pandemic. The pandemic wasn't like a hurricane that we had kind of a warning. It was like, today, shut down.
And it's an end date with a hurricane, right?
Correct. And then
It
it
comes
ended
and
with
it goes, but
Yes.
this one just keeps lingering.
And it keeps lingering.
Right.
And then we're concerned about if the vaccine is gonna work. You know, we have conspiracy theories. People believe
I'm
in
so
like,
glad you asked. Yeah, it was a good segue, man. You could be the host. What are they saying about the vaccine?
yeah.
So, gentlemen, I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation. Deidre is obviously a very confident, competent businesswoman, courageous. There's no doubt about her courage to open a business in the middle of a pandemic when so many businesses are closing down. And I know, Hugo, you are familiar with this because you recently opened a business in the middle of this pandemic, so you can relate to some of the challenges that
Definitely.
she spoke about.
It's courageous opening a business, period.
True.
During the pandemic, it's especially courageous because it's just so many unknowns, and the windows are just so much tighter for what you can and can't do. I was supposed to open in May, but I just couldn't wait any longer.
Right.
Because you have all the investments sitting there. So October, we finally opened our doors. But yeah, I give her kudos for what she's done, and I wish her the best. She seems like she's on top of things.
She is. She's very knowledgeable about her industry. She knows exactly how she wants to expand her business. And one of the things that she spoke about that I found interesting was about how the government can better prepare entrepreneurs, persons that want to come and open businesses. And her insight on that to me was very interesting. What did you think?
I thought, what's the adjective? She was very forthright.
Yes.
In her opinion.
Yes.
I had an opportunity to see some of that conversation before we edited out some of the parts, and I remember there was a part in there, it might still be in there, when she was having a conversation, I know, with you and also with Barbara, and somebody was asking, you know, you sound like you're really on top of things. Yeah, I went to school.
Yes.
I want to let
That
you
was
know.
her response.
And I think that spoke to some kind of maybe a stereotype that people have about people who are in that industry.
Right.
Like they just someday decided they wanted to scratch somebody's head and this and that, and then call themselves a hairstylist. No, you have to actually go to school, and you have to be licensed by the board. If you're going to open a business, you better have a business plan, a budget, so forth and so on. And so what struck me was, yes, she was very forthright and she was confident about sharing what her challenges are, but she seemed very hopeful about what she hopes to achieve. And I saw that she had a sense of, okay, I'm a business owner, I'm a hairstylist, but I'm also responsible for these employees as well. They have families, I gotta make sure my stuff is correct. If the one thing the government can do for me is provide the opportunities to make sure that I can be more successful. Because if you make it easier for me to be successful, I could pay my bills and I could pay my taxes.
Exactly.
All right?
Exactly.
So that was clear in the conversation that you was have. I'm really impressed by Deidre, and I want to congratulate her on doing what she's doing, and I wish her much more success, because everybody that came through while you was there,
Yep.
I noticed they was ready to go.
They were ready. At first, they were a bit reserved, but then as the conversation went on,
Yeah.
they became a bit more enthusiastic about joining the conversation. And one of her clients specifically spoke about how she was adapting to living in what is our new normal. And her outlook was just very positive. It is what it is. This is what we're dealing with. And I have to make the adjustments to make sure that my family remains safe, that I am able to keep myself safe and the members of my community safe.
The attitude is very important because we still have not settled on what the new normal is going to be.
Exactly.
We're still going through this process. We're still learning as we go. They're changing every day. There's new discoveries. One day you're immune for quite some time. Next thing, it's only 3 months. You'll find out it's 3 days at some point.
Right.
So, I think it's definitely one of those moving objects, and it's good to see that she's ready to adapt. And they all seem ready to adapt to whatever's coming our way.
Yeah, I think new normal means anything goes. Be prepared.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
The other thing I like in your segment is that it again speaks to the heart of I think why we decided to feature hair salons and barbershops. People are very relaxed with their opinions.
Yes. Yes.
Miss Barbara Peterson, who was your friend that accompanied you to the shop, she had quite a few things.
She had quite a few interesting things to share
No.
with us.
And that is the
Not
heart
Barbara.
of.
Yes, can you imagine? Yes, she did.
But it's the second, and I would like you to speak to this again. The hair salon is not only a place where people go to get a little, be in a comfortable space, get their hair done, feel a little bit of confidence, and head out that door. It's a place where people come to talk.
It's a place where people come to talk. You talk about the local politics, about the latest melee in politics, and like you said, their opinions are fast and free.
Right.
They are fast and free.
And welcome.
And welcomed.
Right.
And welcomed. But all in all, this was an awesome conversation.
Yeah.
It was a delight to talk to Deirdre and her clients.
Yeah.
And we are going to take a break, and we're going to come right back with a little bit more of the business of politics.
911, what's your emergency?
Help! Help!
Ma'am? Ma'am?
Yes. I saw a wanted ad for public safety officers, and it is high time that I help our community.
Yes, there's a bowler out by the Division of Personnel for public safety positions for Bureau of Corrections, Department of Health, Department of Labor, Licensing and Consumer Affairs, Department of Planning and Natural Resources, Superior Court, Virgin Islands Police Department, Port Authority, and Fire Services.
Yeah? Tell me more.
The Virgin Islands government is the place to work.
Really?
Hear me out. I work for the Virgin Islands government and I love it. I am also helping our community.
Join Team GVI for 2020 Public Safety Virtual Career Fair via Zoom on December 17, 2020 from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Go on to DOP's website at www.dopusvi.org to see the flyer and Zoom information. This is the time to take a leap into public sector.
Yeah? For sure. I got to get on this.
So, I just had a fantastic haircut. Another one with my good friend here, Rennie, the owner of Caribbean Cuts. We also had a great conversation about the business of politics. Why don't we go in and take a look? How has the coronavirus been impacting your business?
Well, honestly, it affected when we had to close. But other than that, no, because we work on appointments, you know.
Right.
So working on appointments is kind of a blessing.
Right.
Because customers have to call you, it's like waiting for walk-in, or guessing.
Right.
Once they call, they book the appointment. I know how much customers coming on a one-on-one basis, you know, so I can control the people in my business. You know what I'm saying? It don't have to be a whole bunch of people in here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. So you don't have to run up against what the recommendations were from the governor and the health department.
You know what I'm saying?
That social distancing.
Yeah, because we've been doing that already from before when the pandemic came around. So it ain't something new to us. My thing was more the new barbers, you know what I'm saying? They don't have a large clientele, you know what I'm saying?
What do you mean by that?
Meaning that I've been in the business for 20 years.
Right.
I have barbers that have been in the business for 25 years. I got barbers that are in the business for 10, 15 years.
Okay.
So they're more solid.
Okay.
But now I got barbers that came out of Puerto Rico, like Kelvin, that just here a year.
Right.
That's not solid yet, you know what I'm saying? So how he survive, you know what I'm saying? So that's them that they wait to feed off on us, you know what I'm saying? It's like a cycle, you know? Wherever customers come in and they really...
Have that network as yet.
Yeah, you know, this man could deal with you, that man could cut to you, we kind of feed them, you know?
Right.
And walk them into. Right. So...
Because your type of business is not just a cut. I mean, you have clients.
Yeah.
That after a while, you know, they get accustomed to you and comfortable. They're the ones that come to you all the time. So if you're a new person, you're saying you don't have that as yet, so you don't get to eat as much.
No, because it's just clients. Right. After you start to know your client name and you have a better relationship, then they come customers. Right. You get to know the name, you call them by the name. And I teach this all the time to my barbers. I say, I don't call customers by the name, you know what I'm saying? Because they like that. You know what I'm saying? You go to a barbershop and nobody know you.
Right.
But you go say, hey, Mr. Wilkin, hey, Mr. Johnson, hey, Eddie Bramble.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Nugent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You feel like, hey, my baba know me, this man. Okay. We go way back.
Okay.
You go to a shop and nobody recognize you, nobody say nothing to you, you feel like, well, okay.
But if you're talking about the numbers, like just roughly, before the pandemic, how much people you would get coming through your chair on a Saturday?
Well, everything from 20 to like 30 people.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's now 20 to 30 to zero.
To zero because we have to close down. You know what I'm saying? We got to shut down, you shut down.
Right.
You want no problem with the law.
Right, no. That's understandable. And so now you're saying it's a little bit better because you already had started doing appointments so you can determine how many people going to be in your space. Yeah.
And especially me because remember, I have to work on appointment because I have a next job too.
Right.
So I can't have walk-ins. And next thing I get to a next job and people, you know, so you need to.
Yeah.
I need to be professional and have appointments. That way I know when I'm gonna be here, when I'm gonna be here, so that way my customers don't, you know.
Understood. Well, I guess that's one way to work around the coronavirus and the restrictions and stuff like that. So I'm glad at least it's working out now, since we have the rules in place that are allowing you guys to start making money again. Speaking of what you have to say, you know, this is the business of politics. What people talking about in the shop, man? You had a very interesting election that just happened a few weeks ago. A lot of changes happened. Some people say for the good, some people say for whatever. What are people talking about in your shop lately?
When it comes to the Senate, people talking, I personally, I like the way, I like the turnout.
Okay.
I think we have a good turnout. I think we have some good people on this storm here.
Okay.
I think St. Croix will move forward. What about the Netherlands? I know about me St. Croix because I'm more thinking about our senators.
Right.
You know, we don't hold one head, but I think this storm here, we have some very smart people.
Okay.
I like You go take her like I tell her, like she should know last, she should come in swinging.
Genevieve Whitaker.
Yeah, she's a teacher.
Yeah, she's
a
a
law,
lawyer, right?
she's an attorney. She should come in swinging. There's no but. She been there trying for like 2-3 times, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I think she ran twice.
Twice, right?
So what's important to you, you're saying is, or your clients who coming through, they're saying what they wanted people with more experience. That's why or different experience. That's why they voted for the folks that got in.
Yeah, because a lot of people tired too, man. Especially they come here, they complain. The people them tired, they want a change.
Yeah.
There's no way we as a small island, 84 square miles.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And being US, we should be in the position we are.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then we have, I don't travel every year. Okay. Right? I go to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Down the road on a cruise. Every other year I'm going to cruise.
Okay.
I was saying, kids impress me.
Okay.
Clean.
Yeah.
The roads them amazing.
Okay.
And I say I thought of them as not offering, but as stalwart because they're not to extent, they're not US.
They're not US.
So I figure, well, they can't be living the way we live in, but they're actually living better than we live in.
Right. No, I can understand the point you're making. So you feel that this election, at least in the St. Croix district, that you're going to have some people coming in who is focused singularly on St. Croix.
Yeah, because, I mean, I like Whitaker.
Okay.
We got Samuel. After that Samuel, we have this boy that he been our Frankie Johnson. Frankie been in the mix for a long time.
The former chief of staff.
He ain't got no choice but to come in and do what he's supposed to do because he know.
Okay.
He know what St. Croix needs. Trust me, and then we got VILA. He got to show off this year. According to the rumors and the people I'm talking in my business he running for governor.
That's what they're saying in the
That's what they're saying in the shop, running for governor.
Okay.
So if I go run for governor this storm, or next storm, I got to show out.
Right.
I got to really put in some work. So.
But one of the things, now that you mention it, right? One of the things is what I've observed at least is that in this last election cycle, you had a lot of people who were the supporters of the previous governor coming back to now lead and take charge. When you look at it, you mentioned Frankie Johnson. He was the Kenneth Maps former chief of staff. You have Samuel Carrion, who won. He was his former special assistant. In St. Thomas, you have Milton Potter. He was his former director of personnel. So, and
there's a couple of them, it's about 8 of them.
Yeah. I think you have about 8 people, 7 or 8 who clearly demonstrated themselves either as former employees of Kenneth Mapp or supporters. So how do you think that's going to look for the current governor? It seems like he's going to have a lot of negotiation to do.
He's going to have to put in work. He's going to be tough and he don't got to fly straight. Like I said, remember I was a fly straight and he don't got no problem.
Okay.
So he can't tell them because they're going to be and I tell you, he got 2 years to show out. So you got to give 2 years now to
before his re-election.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I think everybody's in a position, they need to show out.
They need to show out.
The governor, he didn't tread. He need to show out.
Okay.
If they alone want to run for governor, he need to show out.
Okay.
Them new senators, they knew they need to show out. They got 2 years for everything.
Okay.
So there's going to be some good. I tell people, I feel it's going to be the best 2 years out of St. Croix. I feel it.
Well, there you have it, folks. I really had a good time, guys, with that segment. I want to thank Mr. Martinez first for my haircut and for inviting us into his shop for that conversation. It's a reminder of what barbershops and hair salons really are about, right? It's the original town hall meeting place where you have many opinions from different people, all walks of life. All opinions are welcome. But all might not be appreciated, so to speak. What was your thoughts on the conversation we were having in the barbershop?
Well, you pointed at me when you said hair salons, but obviously I've been in the barbershop too, so I'm familiar with the barbershop conversation. I think the conversation would have been a little bit more dynamic if there were more people in there. Mr. Martinez is very outspoken.
Yes.
He's not shy about sharing his opinion. I agree with him and I respect what he said about having the responsibility of making sure that the other barbers in his shop are able to take care of their families.
This
He's
COVID
concerned about their safety and so forth. Obviously, I disagree with his political views.
Okay.
I don't feel the 34th legislature is going to bring balance.
Okay, interesting.
And I also don't agree with, praising Donald Trump for giving me $1,200.
Yeah, he did.
Because,
He did.
That was my
Mr.
$1,200.
Martinez said that, we got the $1,200 as part of the COVID
only
package.
thing I'm going to praise Donald Trump for is getting on that plane on January 20th, 21st, and saying bye.
Okay then, but Hugo, there you go. Barbershop talk. Opinion about everything there. He talked about a whole range of stuff, from him wanted to be an algebra teacher and how his direction changed when he decided he wanted to become a businessman. Not everybody follows the same path, but he is clearly someone who's on top of his game. It's one of the best barbershops on St. Croix. And again, people like going there to hear those types of opinions and talks. What do you think about
Definitely a reminder of the kind of conversations you hear in barbershops.
Yeah.
But definitely a reminder of how different the districts view politics.
Okay.
And I guess for me, I'd like to see us get to the point where we have more representation decided territorial, so that we can get more unity in how we deal with our politics in the territory.
Specifically, like, for example?
For example, I'd like to see more senators voted in territorial rather than district. I think that the district focus that we're going to see in the upcoming legislature is damaging for the territory on a whole. Like, my view, I think our biggest weakness, our biggest chip in the armor is our economies of scale.
Okay.
And I think anything that separates us and makes us smaller segments, whether it's by district or by part of St. Croix or wherever the case may be, it weakens us.
Okay.
And we need to put all of the 110,000 together to make the best of what we have for opportunities. So I hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of family and friends on both islands, so I hear the different views. I'm a talk show, I hear it every day.
Right.
But listening to him talk gives you a good feel for what the view is on St. Croix.
Right,
it's a little different on St. Thomas.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I work in both districts. We're here in St. Thomas, and I do see different priorities. I think the goal is the same, right?
Right.
To have leaders who are empathetic, who listen a little bit more, who will visit more barbershops to hear the differences if they're smart, visit the barbershop so they can hear opinions, again, from a variety in the spectrum of the people who live in our community. I've heard that conversation, the thing that you mentioned before. Actually, I heard it a lot just prior to the, I would say around primary time.
Right.
It almost always comes up, right? And I think indeed, if more of our community leaders, right, would take the time, I really think it boils down to something we talk about, messaging. Right. And part of messaging is listening before you talk. Right. And that's why I like going to the barbershop. Remy was very clear on his views. To be quite honest, it's not different from many of the people on the island of St. Croix. Many of them feel that there needs to be some kind of counterweight to the current administration. And they believe that will be ushered in the 34th, with all the new people, not so new, newly elected. Newly elected people, especially in the 34th legislature. My only take on that as we wrap up is I hope the people that are listening and who have that perspective, that they need to be a check on the administration, understand that it's check and balance. All right, so guys, thank you again for taking the time to listen to the story that we had here. But after we come back from the break, we will hear a little bit more about the business of politics.
Together, We are making progress against COVID-19 and getting our active lives and economy going again. As businesses unlock their doors and restock their shelves, you remain safer at home. But if you must go out, use the government's guidelines to stay safe. Wear your face covering when entering a business. No face covering, no service. Use hand sanitizer before entering and when leaving a business. And stay at least 6 feet apart. Practice social distancing. Safer at Home USVI is step 3 in our path to a new normal. We're depending on you to do your part. For more information, visit www.vi.gov.
Small business is the lifeblood of commerce in the Virgin Islands. As a business owner myself, I've seen firsthand the impact this pandemic has had on the territory. Many of the mom and pop stores, restaurants, and bars that have been favorite gathering spots for years have been forced to permanently close their doors, and their absence has left a hole in where we work and play here at home. Joining us now live via Zoom is Ricky Evangelista, Commissioner of the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs, who has the responsibility of ensuring businesses are in compliance or aligning to healthy standards set by the government, and who will help guide businesses through these difficult times until they can welcome customers back and reopen their doors. Welcome, Commissioner Evangelista. Welcome again, Commissioner Evangelista. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. We know you have a lot going on during these times. First and foremost, many of the businesses want to thank you for what you've done so far. We know you have some initiatives going right now. There's a moratorium that you've put in place. What else do you have going on for the business owners here in the territory?
Sure. And first of all, good afternoon, Mr. Hodge, for allowing me onto the show with you. And I'd like to thank not only the listening audience, but the diligent working staff of DLCA, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, and sometimes we find ourselves in Water Island. I know you briefly passed over the moratorium. In fact, DLC is attempting to get more people into compliance than out of compliance. What does that simply mean? It's more affordable for us, as well as the members of the community, to get your license current rather than for us to seek enforcement against you. And what do you have to do? It's quite simple. Contact DLCA, you find out what your penalties and fees are, and you submit a letter in writing to the Office of the Commissioner so that we can review it to determine if in fact your situation commits you to actually getting a reduction in those fees and penalties. After all, we all live in this community and we want everyone to participate and pay their fair share of operating the United States Virgin Islands. As you know, it's paradise, but it's only paradise when everyone contributes. What are the other things we're doing? We have now embarked on doing a monthly virtual town hall meeting because I realize that many people have concerns and stretches with the department that are often unheard. However, they voice their opinions on Facebook and radio stations and other social media, and they don't actually come to the attention of the Office of the Commissioner or actually the department in itself. And what does this mean? This means that we are sincere about addressing the stretches. Yes, you may think we are aware of the situation. In many instances, we're unaware of the situation. I'd like to bring it straight to DLCA and its role in enforcing COVID-19 restrictions. As you know, as an owner of a establishment, you are under certain directives by the Office of the Governor. Unfortunately, there are some persons who decide that they're over and better than and are not thinking about who they can endanger when they actually engage in practices that are counter to what the governor has said to do or not to do. Ladies and gentlemen, you had, you know, whether it's your grandma, your grandpa, your uncle, your auntie, your mother, your father, your kids. In fact, this weekend I had to engage in a discussion with someone to help me assist an unborn child that was within someone's womb who may be potentially affected. That's how serious this is. People don't realize what's happening, but COVID-19 is real. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm really asking you, I know we're all tired of addressing it. I, as DLC commissioner, address the back end. So we actually issue the citations in collaboration with the Department of Health, and we hold the pre-hearing conferences that are necessary, a formal hearing to adjudicate those citations. We do not want to issue citations. In fact, we just want everyone to comply. Health cannot be replaced, but wealth can be replaced. And I know Hugo is looking at me in my eyes and he's saying, but Evangelista, you don't have the overhead. This is an international phenomenon. It's a pandemic, Hugo, as you know. And I know it's tough, but we're going to get through this. But the longer we prolong the COVID, you and I, if we were to act like, you know what, we may not even be here to see what the light at the end of the tunnel.
So we got a couple of things here, right? One is the compliance issue of it, getting everybody in compliance, and then the health and safety of the territory that you have, your role in maintaining that health and safety of the community. And your officers are part of the task force that is going around and ensuring such is taking place, correct?
Yes. And you know, as what I want to share with the community is licensing right now, the citations are tied to a business license. Because as a business owner, you're supposed to operate within the rules and regulations and the law of the Virgin Islands. Unfortunately, we have individuals who do not have a business license that are causing some businesses to engage in behavior that is not permitted. So we're really hoping that we can get some legislation through that would actually allow officers to now issue citations to individuals who do not have a business license. So similar to having a speeding ticket, wherein now they will be held liable for a fine.
Is that what is required to be able to pull the license if they're not in compliance?
Yeah, so right now a business who is not following the directives of the governor, initially it's a warning followed by a citation, and they may attempt to settle that citation. But by the time you get to 3, just like baseball, or if you want to attack football, the foot down coming up, you better punt that ball, you may lose the ball in the wrong part of the red zone for the other side. We are targeting the businesses who are so socially incompliant at this point. It's really sad. I know persons like yourself who actually follow the law, and what's happening, Hugo, quite frankly, businesses are balancing, you know, citation versus how much profit I actually made. It's part of doing business. And really, as I indicated, you know, to you and to the listening audience, this isn't about money for the government, collecting money. This is about trying to keep the community safe. And I just had to address a major business wherein the employees allowed an individual to walk in without a mask and to check out at the register with an item, as he spouted on his way to the parking lot, I don't need no mask. I need to protect yourself. Don't protect me. Well, guess what? When an individual is not wearing a mask, he ain't protecting the person he claims he's protecting.
Well, we thank you for your efforts, your entire department. Pass it on to your staff. We're going to continue to push on and keep the territory safe. And we appreciate all your hard work. And keep fighting for all of us to keep us safe. Well, there you have it. Commissioner Evangelista has let us know what he has going on with compliance, what he has going on with initiatives. We talked about the moratorium. It's time to hear your opinion of what you just heard.
For the most part, I thought he was very informative. I would have liked to hear more about the resources. I know he mentioned that his resources are tight, but I don't feel that he is making the best use of his resources. I don't feel that the rules are being enforced equally throughout the territory, and I think that's something that he needs to focus on. You know.
Yeah, I myself think that the 16 or 18 or 14 people are a little too many. Could split that up, maybe groups of 2 or 3, and get more coverage territory-wide. Definitely in this district would be more advantageous. I mean, they have to get to St. John as well.
Yeah.
And hit Cruz Bay, hit Red Hook, hit downtown.
Right.
You know.
and he did say, and occasionally Water Island. I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. I know we're not saying they're not working hard enough.
No, not at all.
What I think we are saying is we know their resources are limited, and how we can maximize the use to make sure that there's compliance, and also a component which I think he emphasized bringing awareness of what the rules are, not just the enforcement part.
They've actually added some more enforcement recently.
Okay.
They've added the marine side.
That's correct.
So they definitely have to find a way to get a better use of the resources they do have.
Right. One of the things that he also said, Hugo, in that segment, and that was a great segment, by the way, thank you for that, was he took some time to point out sharing his phone number, talking about, Tisha, and I know you can appreciate this, that they have in monthly town hall meetings. And he was saying it in a nice way. Stop going on Facebook and talking about me and my people there. Here's the information you need to speak to us directly.
And a vehicle to talk to us directly.
Correct.
Right?
Exactly.
Correct. And I think that's important. You know, we take the social part out of the social media.
But then what are people gonna do?
Yeah, the pong melee and stuff
If
like
you
that.
take that away from them, then how are they gonna vent? What
They can
then?
multitask. They can do both.
Yeah, but
Really?
see, here's my thing. When you all go ahead and do that, I don't think it's effective to get what I hope that you want to have done.
No.
Bring awareness to a problem, find out who can resolve it, and then come back and say, I got it done, right? You have to remember that some of these people that are working there, these are your neighbors, this is your cousin, this is your brother and your uncle. And to say they don't do nothing and this and that, blah, 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 throw stone and hide your hand is not good. I'm just saying I appreciate the work that they're doing. Their resources are limited, and they're doing it in the face of a pandemic. If they have to go to all these businesses and inspect, they're exposing themselves and their family more so than most of us. So we have to meet them halfway.
But I can tell you firsthand, I've been on a call with them, and in the discussion, made a recommendation that they had not considered. They paused, they thought about it, and they said, you know what, we think we can do that.
Okay.
And it wasn't about maybe 7-10 days later, they put it in place. So I've had some firsthand experience with them actually listening, which is something that's hard to find right now.
It is, and it shows that at least he's willing to work with the small businesses and meet them halfway. So that's good.
But that's evident. We enjoy things here, benefits here, business-wise, that many other jurisdictions aren't seeing, particularly in this region. I do a lot of business around the region, and it's closed. It's closed for the most part. You're not seeing restaurants and bars and anything open.
Some hard shutdowns.
Some hard shutdowns within the continental United States. I mean, California, getting ready to lock down again.
New York is facing that. And, you know, I was just looking at the news this morning. You have, in the United States, you have an American dying almost every hour, every day.
Wow.
Guaranteed.
Wow.
And so there are some benefits of being a small community, right? Hugo can dial up on Zoom and call the commissioner of the department that is managing all these resources in a country, right? You can go and see that guy in the grocery store, right? And I can appreciate that to some extent. You know
you can call a friend to get in contact with somebody in some department and stop talking about the people on Facebook.
And people on Facebook. So
stop talking on Facebook.
Yes,
that is what we got the most from the dialogue.
Yeah, the commissioner says, call me directly. I'm working on behalf of you, my family, and my staff. Call us directly. We have the town hall meetings. He gave the information. I think we're going to have it on the screen as well. So if you wasn't able to get it in the interview that Hugo just had, please call the number on the screen if you see anything or if you have any questions, right? It's not all about enforcement. It's about being aware what the opportunities are and the things you need to do for your safety and theirs as well.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it. We heard directly from Commissioner Evangelista. Him and his staff at DLCA are doing all that it takes for us to operate in these tough times. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more Business of Politics.
In an average year, small businesses account for 44% of U.S. economic activity and create 2/3 of new jobs while driving innovation and competition. However, we know that this year has been anything but average. Storefronts are shuttered, some permanently. For the first time in history, the government of the Virgin Islands will distribute more than $100 million in unemployment benefits, and it will take years for our tourism industry to rebound. But Virgin Islanders are strong, and we are resilient, and in the wake of adversity, there are stories of hope. of a community coming together to provide support to each other during a pandemic that has devastated economies around the world. Stories like Deidre and Remy remind us that perseverance, a leap of faith, and a little bit of laughter will see us through to a stronger, more prosperous Virgin Islands. I'm Brad Nugent. Thank you for joining us tonight. Be sure to tune in to our next episode on January 14th when we continue our conversation on the business of politics. Until then, stay safe, stay involved, stay informed, and have a joyful, happy holiday season. Good night.